All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to Steel City Renegades. I'm Dynamite Dave, and we're going to bring in our co-host Dees, who is in the Christmas spirit. It looks like we are live here on Redline Radio. Want to give you guys a big Merry Christmas, and if we don't see you, Happy New Year. But Dees is in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Ho, ho, ho.
Give him a nice round of applause. D's not a very good last 2 weeks to talk about Pittsburgh Steeler football, but a better week this week than last week. So, how was your last 2 weeks of Pittsburgh Steeler football?
Not good. There's been some good, obviously, and a whole lot of bad. Just to rehash real quick, the officials in Philly, I'm convinced, probably cost us that game just on two calls. That being the no punches thrown by the Eagles, which we saw video that there was, and then the fact that dude got slapped in the head after the punt when video showed that it was clearly before the punt, and you take those two and reverse them, and I think that's a different game. This game, again, literally the ball bounced the other way this time. We had three fumbles total by the Ravens, all recovered by the Ravens, and those are usually balls we get. But as far as where this team sits right now, old Santa D's has something for all the little Steeler fans out there, especially you, Dave, and my brother, who I hope is out there watching. I just want everybody take a breath and calm the fuck down. This team is still very, very good. This defense, while Dave will sit here and scream for the next hour that they're not elite, maybe they're not elite, but they are still very, very good. You have to keep in mind, Deshaun Elliott has not played the last 2 weeks. Even without him, we held Saquon Barkley. We didn't help the other guy because we didn't game plan for him. But then we lose Joey Porter for much of this game. Larry Ogunjobi was out. Game plan probably wasn't the best. But that being said, when we get our guys back, and that includes George on the offensive side, is this a Super Bowl team? No, I'm not fucking delusional. If we get some of the lucky bounces, could we make a run? Possibly, but I don't think it happens this year. That being said, if we can go into these last couple weeks healthy and into the playoffs healthy, we can win a game or two. We could shock a team. The only team really in the AFC that quote scares me is Buffalo. And even them, Buffalo's defense, you want to talk about not elite. Buffalo's defense is absolutely dog shit. But because they can score 40 to 50 points a game, their defense doesn't really matter a whole lot. I went into yesterday expecting to lose. I went into Philly expecting to lose. It's one of those expect the worst, hope for the best. Kansas City doesn't scare me at all, and they scare me even less if Chris Jones is out, which looks like there's a good chance of that. Cincinnati at our place doesn't scare me a whole lot. They might be scary if they go into that game needing to win to make the playoffs, which is very possible. And then they have that desperation factor that could play into it. But again, if these guys that we have held out for the last few weeks, that being Elliott and Dante Jackson and George Pickens, if they can all come back for this Christmas game, I don't think that Kansas City has much of a chance. Nor do I think Cincinnati has much of a chance, and I think we can win a home playoff game and then let the chips fall where they may. Am I happy about our performance yesterday? No, not at all. I think the defensive game plan sucked. I think much of the offensive game plan sucked. But I'm not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, D's. I mean, I know we've been back and forth in the chat, razzing each other about this defense, man. And I know that you guys say that it's elite or it's a great defense.
It is.
Great defense goes, even though that you have people out, great defenses still go out and stop drives from being 97 yards, 77 yards, and find ways to make plays to get turnovers. I mean, how many times do we have to see Zay Flowers open multiple times in the middle of the football field? And you just let Derrick Henry, I know he's a Hall of Famer and he's a different type of running back than what we've seen all year. You just let him run all over you and not make any adjustments or whatnot. And if you're Terrell Austin, why are you not blitzing 4 guys? Like, I don't understand what you're doing. Why are you not moving TJ Watt around? This, to me, this defense is not elite. It's not great. It is a good defense. There's a difference between them three. If you had to do A, being elite, B, being great, and C, being good, they would get a C through how their performances over the last 4 or 5 games defensively, even against the Browns when they played in the snow. It's to me, it's not an elite defense. And I'm tired of people saying it's elite, it's elite. It's not elite. Elite defenses don't let teams score 30, 40 points on them. Elite defense holds you to 17, find ways to get the football, and create turnovers. They did create turnovers. And Minka Fitzpatrick finally showed up yesterday. Finally showed up.
Oh, he's been there all along. They just finally threw the ball his way, and he actually missed the tight end. So he needed to make up for allowing that touchdown. Again, I don't necessarily think it's elite. I think there are certain aspects of it that can perform at elite levels at times. I mean, we are among the league leaders in points allowed. We're among the league leaders in rush defense. This game didn't show that, but I also, no Deshaun Elliott, who's one of our better tacklers. Larry Ogunjobi is a really good run stuffer. It was a perfect storm. Like, we've played 2 of the best offenses in the NFL with not our full cast of defense. As far as Terrell Austin goes, look, let's be honest. Terrell Austin's not the defensive coordinator. He never has been. He's a figurehead. I think Mike Tomlin is the defensive guy. Why? It seemed like they changed their normal Ravens game plan, and instead of absolutely selling out against the run to force Lamar to beat you, they didn't do that. They kind of sat back and just played gap defense and got blown off the ball more times than they should have. As far as TJ moving around, look, he's, regardless of whether or not he's on the injury report, I saw the tape on that ankle. He's not 100%. They're going to only put him where he's comfortable. I still think they're a very good defense, and when the chips are down, they can make a play. They forced 3 fumbles, just didn't fall on the ball. I'm not like, this defense isn't trash. They are very, very good, sometimes great, and they can perform at times at an elite level. Every great defense in history has had a bad game. Against Philly, it wasn't a bad game. Yeah, the secondary was a little suspect, especially after Dante Jackson went out, but they shut down the leading rusher in the NFL. They shut down Derrick Henry the first time they played him, which maybe kind of gave him a little bit of overconfidence going into this one. I had a feeling that they were going to pound Derrick Henry a little more. I think Jim Harbaugh, John, whatever the fuck his name is, finally learned his lesson, because look back over the years against Baltimore. How many times, even before they had Derrick Henry, they've always had near the top of the league as far as a rush offense. And how many times do we play them where they kind of abandon that and they think that Lamar is going to turn into Tom fucking Brady against us, and it doesn't work out? Well, this game, Baltimore finally said, we're going to hand the ball off and make Derrick do all the work, and then we're going to hit you over the top. And they had a good game plan. We didn't.
Yeah, I mean, CDs, I know that you're sold on this defense, and I'm not sold 100% on this team moving forward. I said before the show, and you said that I was crazy, that I don't think they'll win another game this year. You're like, you're nuts. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get, what team-wise, what preparation we're going to get between now and Christmas for the Kansas City game. We don't know what we're going to get for the Bengals game. We'll go into the playoffs. And listen, I'm a Steelers fan through and through, but I can see the writing on the wall that this is not a team that can go and dominate a football game and then rely on their defense to win them a football game, because it's proven time after time that when their backs are against the wall, when they're healthy, against Dallas, against Cleveland, when they're 100% healthy, the defense can continue.
They weren't healthy against Dallas. TJ Watt was the only healthy outside linebacker.
Didn't Herbig
Herbig got
Highsmith
hurt. The Highsmith was hurt. No, it was
Highsmith played that game, didn't he?
No.
Highsmith didn't play the Dallas game?
And Herbig got hurt in the middle of the game, and that was before we had Preston Smith. I can't even remember the dude's name that played the other side of TJ, but he hasn't been on the field since. Might have been Leal, DeMarvin Leal back then.
Or was it Moon? Was it Moon?
Moon, that's who it was. Yeah, the whole fourth quarter, we had to keep the same two outside linebackers, and especially like the defense played great that game until that last drive, and they were just gassed.
Well, I mean, why do you stay gassed? Because you keep giving up big play after big play after big play. I mean, you let a special team guy beat you single-handedly. Dodell, you let him beat you. You let Turpin beat you. You let these guys who are not decent players beat you, and it continues to happen with the Steelers defense each and every week. If we're tied 17-17 and we're putting the ball in the defense's corner and relying on our defense to win this game, 9 times out of 10, I'm betting against our defense, because when we're healthy, we still can't do that, because you haven't proven that you can shut down these teams that you need to, especially when your backs are against the wall. And I have no faith in our defense moving forward, even when they're healthy. I think that they need to.
Again, I completely disagree. If they're healthy, the Chiefs don't worry me. Their offense does not scare me at all. I think they're really struggling right now. I think Mahomes is gimpy, showed that yesterday. The Bengals offense, they're going to score on anybody, and they've proven that all year long. We just have to score more than them. And their defense is the kind of defense that can't allow for that. As far as, back when we lost to the Colts and the Cowboys, if Russ is the starter and the offense is a little more open than it was when Justin was there, I don't think either one of those games are even close. But, I mean, that's ifs and buts and candy and nuts, and Merry fucking Christmas kind of stuff. But, again, no, we're not going to win a Super Bowl with this team. I think we can next year if they make the right moves. Not sure if that includes Russ or not. But I do think that, we can win the last two and win a home playoff game and then see where we end up going and go from there. If we're healthy. The team that they put on the field yesterday, no, all bets are off. Because
so then,
who's going to get fucking paid? George Pickens. Because look what happened to this offense when he's not there.
I mean, that goes to show it, man. People didn't think that he was that big part of it, or our offense, and he showed it the last 2 games. Well, real quick. Now, I know that people may say absolutely not. Now the Kirk Cousins situation is done in Atlanta.
No.
Would you bring him?
No. But I'm not even going to let you finish the fucking sentence. No. He's washed.
You think he's washed?
I don't think he the Achilles did not heal right. All right. At this point, after surgery, he should be 100%. And play after play, time after time, it is shown that something is not right. He's got zero mobility. He can't even fucking run play action. So no. Kirk Cousins 2-3 years ago, all day long. Sign him up. Right now, no. Nope. Give me Justin or Russ 10 times over before Kirk Cousins. Sign him cheap as a backup if we lose one of the other guys? Absolutely. But am I bringing him in as the starting quarterback with his agent, who tends to somehow miraculously get way more money than he deserves? Fuck no.
I don't think he'll get another big contract. I think them days are done, especially after his play here in 10 games 12 games with the Falcons. I don't think a lot of that is on Kirk Cousins. I think it's the way the offenses ran out there and what places they're putting him in, because I mean, I still think that he can play. And you're right. I don't think he's 100% healed off of the Achilles injury. I think that he should have came back when he was on 100. But I do also think that that's part of the problem with Atlanta. They rushed him to get back. He even said it, that they rushed him to get back so he can get out there and learn the new offense that Raheem Morris has put in. And so, I mean, I don't think that's Kirk's fault, but he's going to get another chance somewhere to start in this league. even though what his age is. Just like Aaron Rodgers, he's going to get another chance to start somewhere. Just like Danny Dimes, he's going to get another chance to start somewhere, whether people like to believe that or not. And one of them guys might be on the radar for the Steelers again if Justin walks or Russ walks. I mean, he's going to be on the radar. So
who was the first name you said?
I said Kirk Cousins.
Danny Dimes. There was another one you said.
Danny Dimes. Who was the other one?
Yeah, I think you were just referencing Aaron Rodgers. I don't want either one of them. I've seen enough out of both. I don't want either one of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, one of them 3 quarterbacks, whether Rodgers is back with the Jets or not, we'll find out in the offseason on how it plays out with both quarterbacks that we have on our roster and what free agents they're going to go out and get. But I honestly think down the road that them 3 guys will get another starting gig, and one of them 3 probably. And if you throw Russ or Justin in there, so you got 5 quarterbacks who are looking for new homes next year. Maybe not one of the Steelers quarterbacks. Maybe they decide to go with Russ and they let Justin walk. But 4 out of 5 of them quarterbacks will be starters somewhere else next year, whether people like to believe that or not.
I don't think Danny will.
I think Danny will in the proper role. Look at Sam Darnold. I understand Darnold's a little younger and he has a team and he learned from Kyle Shanahan. You can send Danny Dimes to San Francisco and let him back up Brock Purdy next year, learn how to be a quarterback again from Kyle Shanahan and the way that he does stuff, and go out like Darnold did and go to a team who needs a quarterback, a veteran, where you're coming in kind of as the backup and win the starting job, or that quarterback goes out and gets hurt. You can find yourself a job that way. And I do think Danny Dimes' situation in New York was a bad situation for him and a bad situation for New York. I think they both needed a change, and I think Danny Dimes can still play, whether people like to believe that or not. I think that he's talented. What is he, 27, 28 years old?
Yeah, he's young, and he had a good year. What they did to screw Danny was they got rid of Saquon. Saquon had his best year. I mean, Danny had his best year when Saquon was healthy all year, and they let him go. And he's not a quarterback that can carry a franchise. He showed that he needs a really good run game behind him. And then I think he could be somewhat successful. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar. He could be a serviceable starter depending on the situation where he goes. But I don't see him as a guy that you can go, I'm going to build my franchise around that guy.
I'm not saying that about Danny Dimes. I'm saying that he can go him, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, and maybe Aaron Rodgers, if he leaves. Them 5 quarterbacks can go somewhere and be serviceable starters for a team for 2 or 3 years. I really think that, because these quarterbacks who've got big contracts, and again, we talk about big contracts, Russ being a free agent. Look at the last 2 quarterbacks who got big contracts. We just named 2 of them. Kirk Cousins, who's old and coming off of an injury, is going to get released by the Falcons, and they're going to get stuck paying him. Russ signed a big contract in Denver. They didn't like him there. They let him walk. Danny Dimes signs a big contract with the Giants. They let him walk. So that's why I don't think you sign a veteran quarterback after the age of 36 to a $30 to $35 million a year contract. We know that Russ is going to ask for that. We know that that's what it's going to be for Russ. But my thing is, the proof is in the pudding with them quarterbacks. Don't give them that much money. Now, Justin Fields, maybe 25 to $30 million a year he'll get if he comes back as the Steelers. But again, I'm not paying Russell Wilson $30 to $35 million to be our quarterback for the next 2 years. You're going to wrap $70 million up into your quarterback. I know what the market's going to be, but the Steelers got to be looking around the league and looking at that and saying, hey, is this the guy to get us to the Super Bowl? Is this the guy for this offense that, we can see the potential of this offense? Because have we really seen this offense peak at all? Honestly, have we? Have we seen this offense peak at all?
Peak, probably not. Maybe. Well, the Bengals game, that was a pretty good offensive game. But again, that's against the Bengals defense, which is absolutely dog shit. The Browns when they played at Pittsburgh, they played solid, but no. That's why I say I don't see this team as it sits right now as a true Super Bowl contender. I mean, I realize anything can happen. I like where our offensive line is going. I know that I think next year, I think that offensive line is going to be dominant once we get Troy back and move Broderick over to the other side where he belongs. I think he's just going to be more comfortable on the left side. But yeah, as far as quarterback, I still want to see what Russ does down the stretch, because for me, I think what happens in these next two games and in our playoff game, hopefully games, is where Russ is going to earn next year's contract with whatever team. You know, the chips are down, backs are against the wall. We have to win 2 games to win the division, and then we get a home playoff game. Regardless of what Russ has done in the past for this team, I think this next stretch of 3, possibly 4 games is going to basically write his contract for next year.
And I would agree. And I would agree with you on that. I know we talked about that. I would agree with you on that. But to me, I've seen flashes of the old Russell Wilson, and I've seen flashes of the Russell Wilson that Denver was talking about. I mean, yesterday, Russell was on it. He wanted to get, I mean, that run, yes, he said he thought he could make it. He's just a step slower than what he used to be. And
Yeah.
he should have slid. I don't blame him for trying to get into the touchdown. If that was Justin Fields, he'd have walked in fucking 10 yards ago. He'd have walked into the end zone.
Yeah,
yards
like
in.
I said, I love the determination. Like, hell yeah. You know, but God damn it, Russ, you're 35, 36 years old. Get down. You know,
Well,
slide.
He even said it in the press conference. He said exactly what I said. I thought that I had that extra one step, and he goes, I seen that defensive player coming who ran all the way from the left side of the end zone to come and stop Russ. And I'm not understanding why nobody's seen him running. Like, where your wide receivers who were blocking down the field?
There was only one there, and he had his back to him. Like, he peeled off of him and made that hit. It was a great hit. You know, we can sit here and talk about, you know, the ifs and whys all day, but fact of the matter is, dude made a great play. Russ should have got down, and he knows it. He just, you know, one of those things, the ball fucking bounced the wrong way. Perfect hit, and that turned the game. I mean, that was Russ single-handedly caused a 21-point swing. We score there, who knows? Momentum changes. Maybe they don't drive down and score. Maybe they do. And then the pick six after Minka had his interception, like those 2 plays single-handedly turned that game into a 3-score fucking loss instead of a down to the wire, you know, who knows what's going to happen. And it is what it is. I mean, we can talk all day about how great Ben was and how much we missed him, but the fact is Ben made some mistakes, and Russ, you know, put the ball in the wrong hands a couple times. It happens. Is what it is. But again, these next 3 games, because we know we're going to the playoffs regardless. These next 3 games, what's that?
Who would you like to see us play in the playoffs?
I feel better about Baltimore now for the simple fact that had we beat them, I don't think we beat them a 3rd time. You know, that's just the law of averages. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. It doesn't happen very often. But that being said, as far as the AFC teams that we're likely to play, the one team I don't want to open with, and if we win the division, we won't have to, is Buffalo. Anybody else that's in the playoffs or projected to be in the playoffs, I think we can beat if we are healthy and we don't absolutely shit the bed.
Because as of right now, I still think we're the division leader because of the tiebreaker, correct?
Yes. All we have to do is win. If we win, it doesn't matter what Baltimore does. Now, if Baltimore drops this game to Houston, which is unlikely but possible, then we can afford to lose one. But because of the way the tiebreakers work, we literally have our fate in our hands. If we go out and perform these next 2 games, we are division champs no matter what Baltimore does.
Dees, how do we hold the tiebreaker over Baltimore, even though we're tied? How do we?
I believe it is. I believe it's conference record.
So we've lost to the Browns and Baltimore in our division.
Yeah. And Baltimore has lost to us and the Browns.
Okay.
So there's 2-2. So division record, throw it out the window.
Okay. So we've beat Denver. We've beat the Chargers.
They beat Denver. They beat the Chargers.
We beat Cleveland. They beat Cleveland.
Yep.
So that's out of the realm.
Yeah, it's either conference, because let's see, who is Baltimore's lost to the Browns, the Steelers. Who else did they lose to? The Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now.
They
lost to the Raiders, so there's a conference loss.
We lost to
the Eagles.
We both lost to the Eagles. We lost to Denver.
We beat the Raiders, so that's the common record against common opponents advantage.
Okay, we lost to Dallas. We lost to Philly. We lost to the Colts. We lost to the Browns. There's 5 losses that we have right now, right?
That's the only 5, yeah. Cleveland, Baltimore, Dallas, Indy, and Philly.
Yeah. So, and then Baltimore's lost to Kansas City, the Raiders, the Steelers, the Browns,
and the Eagles.
So there's 5. So yeah, that's how we hold the tiebreaker.
Yeah, because they have 4 conference losses. We have 3.
Okay.
And then so they could win it if I believe let's say we beat the Chiefs and they beat Houston and we're still tied, but then let's say they lose to Houston. My bad. And then we turn around and lose to Cincinnati and they beat Cleveland, then that might give them the win because of the division record tiebreaker, I think, takes precedent.
Well, no matter what, we still got 3 games we're going to play throughout the season. We got
guaranteed
2 regular season games and a playoff game. We don't know who we're playing. The last I looked, I think if the playoffs started right now, we would play Denver, correct? In Pittsburgh. Isn't that how that is? Isn't Denver the 7th seed?
No, we would be the 3 seed playing the 6 seed.
Which
the 2 will play the 7. Right now, I believe it's fucking Baltimore. Oh wait, no, with them winning, it might now be Denver. It's either Denver or San Diego.
I think I seen yesterday. If the playoffs started right now, Pittsburgh would play Denver in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And that's a game Russ didn't play when we went to Denver. Right? Russ didn't play that game.
That was still Justin.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because that was week 2, I believe. Yeah, week 2. We played Atlanta, then we played Denver.
Yeah. So that's that. We still got 3 games left on the schedule and whatnot. I mean, we got time to get healthy, like Dees would say. But, on the wide receiver front, we don't know if we're going to get Pickens back for this game. One of our former wide receivers got released this past week from Baltimore. I know me and Dees, we talked about it. Deontay Johnson, I know when he got released, I told you guys that I think that he would come back. There's a lot of fucking rumors that he's coming back to Pittsburgh, that Pittsburgh might put in a claim for it. You guys told me in the chat that no. Now that the way that you heard Adam Schefter say it, what's your thoughts on that now moving forward? Would you bring Deontay back if they find out tomorrow that Pickens cannot play on Wednesday and you have an opportunity because he can be claimed by 4:00 tomorrow, right? Isn't that how that works on waivers?
I believe so, yeah.
By 4:00. Do you put in a waiver claim for Deontay Johnson and bring him in for the stretch run? Just to have another weapon out there.
If you tell me that George ain't ready, then I give it some serious thought. That being said, even if they claim him on Monday, he lands in Pittsburgh on Tuesday. He's not playing on Wednesday. I mean, I guess he could play maybe a few plays here and there. Hey, go out and run a 15-yard in, go out on a go route. But he's not going to come in and just know the offense and be able to give you, 20 snaps.
Well, so, I mean, I agree with you on that.
But down the stretch run, Yeah, it's definitely. I still don't think it's going to happen because I just don't think. I think he left here with bad blood, and I don't see Tomlin as a swallow my pride kind of guy. But if he can come in and contribute and help us win a football game, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
All right,
I
so
don't
we
know
got
if I don't know what his contract situation is. So if you claim him, I don't know if that's a claim him for just this year or if that means that you now take on whatever contract that he originally signed with Carolina. I could see them not claiming him, and if nobody puts the claim in, then maybe re-signing him to a 1-year kind of prove it deal, basically a rental for the last few games.
Okay, well, we got Ryan Neff, who's joining us, a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, just jumped on, so we'll bring him on. Ryan, what's up? How's it going?
What's going on, Chief? I haven't been able to catch the show because I've been out and about, so I didn't know what you guys were talking about, what the subject is.
Yeah,
currently
so
Deontay.
Deontay Johnson. There's also talks that your Kansas City Chiefs might be throwing in a waiver claim for him as well. I mean, I heard the Chargers, I heard the Steelers, and I also heard the Buffalo Bills throwing possibility landing spots for Deontay Johnson. He's going to get picked up by a playoff team no matter what, whether it be the Steelers, whether it be Buffalo, whether it be the Chargers, whether it be the Chiefs. He's going to go somewhere and be on their roster for the playoffs. Again, I've always been a Deontay Johnson fan. I just don't know where things went wrong in Pittsburgh. I mean, D says that he was a diva. That's how all Steelers wide receivers are. But again, he's probably, even though that he's not the receiver he once was, if he goes to any team, he's your top 2 route runner. He can run routes. We all know that. We've seen that. He's just holding on to the football.
He was I believe, one of the league leaders in separation creation. Like, he can get open. There's no question he can get open. Now, will he catch the ball?
And that's another reason why I would like to take a flyer on him, because let me ask you this, Deez, and I want your honest opinion about that. You look at your roster, say Skoronek's out for this game and Pickens. Now you have to rely on Mike Williams. You have to rely on Calvin Austin. You have to rely on Van Jefferson. And who's going to be your 4th receiver? Scotty Miller. You have the opportunity to have Deontay Johnson there as your 4th wide receiver, okay? So now your 5 wide receivers would be Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and who else did I say?
Scotty
Miller. So there are your 5 going into that game. I'm pretty sure that the Steelers fans would be more happy to have Deontay Johnson in that mix than us relying on Scotty Miller and Van Jefferson.
Oh, I agree. But again, for this week, it's probably going to be a wash because I don't see Deontay, even if we pick him up, I don't see him being a huge factor against Kansas City because it's not the same offense that he knows. Could you get him out there for 5 to 10 plays and tell him, here's your route, go run it? Yeah. But like for him to come in and be a game breaker, I don't see it happening this week. Could he help the next couple of weeks? Sure.
See, I'm not saying him being a game breaker. I'm just saying if you had the opportunity to get him, knowing that you can get him for the rest of the year and you could probably work him in for maybe the next 2.5 games. And like you said, bring him in, on Monday if he doesn't get claimed, or Tuesday, throw him a couple plays on Wednesday, get out there, get the feel back for the offense or whatnot and this team again. And then, you work him into the offense on the last game against Cincinnati, and having another weapon on offense for a playoff game is always good. Always good.
I absolutely agree. And if I was in charge, I wouldn't be totally against it, but I'm not. And Mike Tomlin is. And again, he won it out of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And we won that trade because Dante Jackson's having a career year and we have really, really missed him for the last game and a half. That showed big time.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You cut the cancer out. Why would you want to go back? You're in remission from the cancer. Why would you want to bring the cancer back?
Because they brought Terrell Edmonds back and they brought Cam Sutton back before, who were both cancers in the locker room.
No, they were not.
Antonio Brown was.
Cam Sutton was a problem in the locker room. That's why the Steelers got rid of him, and so was Terrell Edmonds. Cam Sutton went to the Lions and fucking beat the shit out of his old lady.
I've never seen anything about Cam Sutton being a problem in the locker room. Mike Tomlin loved him. He earned a bigger contract that we didn't want to pay. Yeah, I've never seen anything about Cam Sutton in the locker room. I could be wrong. I'm just telling you me personally.
He was the one that went to Keith Butler, running his mouth to Keith Butler about him not getting on the field when they pulled him for who'd they have out there when Butler was the defensive coordinator. He got pulled and he was running his mouth on the sidelines, and that's when he got suspended. And then he was dogging the franchise when him and Melvin Ingram were together. That was Cam Sutton.
Are you sure? I think that was fucking Ahkello Witherspoon.
No, that was Cam Sutton, because I remember that clearly, because that's why he was Chipper's boy, is because he liked to run his mouth and thought he got away with it, and Pittsburgh had released him. That's exactly what it was, because I think it was it was him and Mike when Mike Hilton went out there for him, when they pulled him for Mike Hilton.
Mike Hilton's been gone for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Mike Hilton's been a Bengal for a while. Sutton just left the year before last.
Yeah, but he got suspended by the Steelers. He got released, and then Pittsburgh re-signed him on a 2-year deal.
No, he never got released. He was a free agent, and he signed with Detroit.
I thought he got released by the Steelers.
No, we just couldn't afford him because he wanted starter. Like he felt that he was starter caliber and wanted bigger money, and Detroit paid him.
Well, you might be right, but I could have swore I heard something about Cam Sutton being a locker room cancer.
I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I just personally don't remember that specific instance, and I know that he left as a free agent. He was not cut.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. I still think that there's a spot for Diontae Johnson on this roster, whether people want to bring him back or not. You've given other Steelers who have been worse, Terrell Edmonds, Cam Sutton, Miles Jack. You brought them people back for some reason.
But keep in mind, though, here's the other side of that coin. Keep in mind that the 3 guys that you just named came back to the defense that they knew. They were plug and play. Diontae Johnson is not coming back to the offense that he knows. And again, I agree with you. If you can make my team better, I'm not against it. I just personally don't feel like Mike Tomlin will bring him back.
Wouldn't you want to try to shore up the defense rather than the offense, though?
I think we shore up the defense by just getting healthy. And there's nobody out there on the free agent market that you bring in that's going to magically fix the problems that we've had the last 2 weeks.
Where's Eric Rowe at that we signed? Where's he at? Why isn't he playing? Where's CJ Henderson? Why isn't he up instead of James?
I think Henderson's already been released.
No,
I think Rowe might be on the practice squad still.
I think CJ Henderson is still with the team.
Is he?
I don't think Diontae Johnson's going to add all that much, to be quite honest with you. He's more of a head case. He's more of a headache to your team than he is positive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but maybe he's learned his lesson, maybe not. Looking at my receiver room, though, if he can come in and has the right attitude, you know, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I sit down with him and like, you know, this is where we're at. This is what we need. Can you do that without being a giant fucking distraction? Then maybe you try it. I don't personally think it's going to happen. Talent wise, he's up there, but again, I don't see it happening. And I don't know how quickly he could learn a whole new scheme going down the stretch.
Well, he wouldn't be good for the Chiefs, just from the standpoint. Hollywood Brown's back, so we don't need him. So
CJ Henderson is still on the Steelers roster. Him and who I just said is on the practice squad. I don't understand why they don't have them as backups instead of having James Pierre and Cam Sutton. I don't get that.
Well, maybe they're just not good enough. You know, I mean, it's one of the, like you said yesterday, it doesn't matter next man up. Again, you have to have that mentality, but the bottom line is if they were starting caliber, they'd be fucking starting. And they'd be on the field.
You and me probably could have played cornerback better than them 2 dummies yesterday.
Well, I think a lot of people could. They definitely, even Beanie Bishop pretty much sucked yesterday. I mean, it was a bad game all around by most of the team, with the exception of the outside linebackers and Cam Hayward. Everybody, even Patrick Queen, you know, didn't have the greatest game. I'll tell you what I do like about what happened yesterday is if you watch the locker room interviews and things like that, a lot of times you'll see players on losing teams, well, we're angry, blah, blah, blah. And you can tell that they don't give a shit. Them motherfuckers were legit angry yesterday. And I want to see them turn that anger into something on the field. They know that they shit the bed and they are angry at themselves. They're angry at each other. They need to put the anger at each other aside, come together and prove it on the field. It's going to go one or two ways. They're either going to come out a ball of fire on Wednesday, or they're going to come out and shit the bed. And if we're healthy, I like our chances.
All
right, Ryan.
I'm picking Steelers. I'm picking on Steelers on Wednesday, my friends. Even though I'm a Chiefs fan, we can afford to lose a game. I don't know what they're going to do with Mahomes on such a short rest, but must win. The Steelers need to win more than we do. That's why I'm going to pick the Steelers.
I think what happens today with Buffalo could. I mean, I don't see Buffalo losing, but if Buffalo loses, I think Kansas City trots out their practice squad on Wednesday, and I would too. Chris Jones, I think, is going to be, if he's not ready to go, then that's more of a worry for you guys than whether or not Mahomes' fake ankle injury is going to be an issue. It's funny. People used to talk about Ben being an injury drama queen. I'm starting to think Mahomes might be playing some of these injuries up a lot more than he should be too.
Ryan, let me ask you this question. Going into this game on short rest, if you were the Chiefs, would you sit Patrick Mahomes?
Yes. I would, just because of the ankle. High ankle sprain? Absolutely. I thought they should have sat him this past week because the defense is good enough to win you that football game.
Well, and Carson Wentz, I mean, yeah, he makes some really boneheaded plays from time to time, but when he doesn't make boneheaded plays, he's a solid quarterback. So I agree with you. I would have rested him.
So I would rest him Wednesday. Look, you're playing 3 games in 11 days on that ankle. It's not going to get any better. I don't know what they shot him up with this week. The go-go juice, whatever. But all it's going to take is one low tackle and he gets bent backward, God forbid, and then we're really screwed.
Especially going up against the pass rushers that he's going to be going up against Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one play away from being out for 3 or 4 games.
Right.
Go ahead, Dave.
We talked about earlier on, and we'll get back to this topic here in a second, with the quarterbacks who Kirk Cousins debacle and Danny Dimes and whatnot. So how does Kansas City find these fucking ways to win these football games when they're getting obliterated by these teams? How do they find the ways to do that? They're not that good of a football team.
I mean, I just look, I hear people bitching about the refs. The Chiefs get all the calls. Well, winning teams do. Michael Jordan got all the calls. You think Robert Horry, who has 7 NBA titles, he has 7 NBA rings, think he got all the calls all the time? You can call a holding play on every play. I don't know how they keep winning football games. I'll be the first one to admit 14-1. It's a real iffy 14-1. I know they're 14-1, but you get into the playoffs and you start playing like that, the way they've been playing, they're going to go home early. Even if they get a first round bye, Dave, I do not feel comfortable even with home field advantage in the second round of the playoffs. I just don't, because you cannot continue to rely on your defense to bail you out. And they've bailed them out time and time again this year, but it takes one injury to Nick Bolton. Chris Jones goes down for the rest of the year. Then they're screwed. It's a real iffy 14-1. And I do not feel confident going into the playoffs. Even if they finish the season 16-1, I still don't feel confident.
I read a stat, it was a few weeks ago, that like the last 3 teams that went into the playoffs leading the league in 1-score victories lost their first playoff game.
Right.
And Pittsburgh 2020 was one of those teams. And Kansas City, without question, is the leader as far as winning 1-score games. And I agree with you. I do not have a lot of confidence in Kansas City. I also think that Kansas City has the talent to all of a sudden just turn it on if they can get healthy, stay healthy, whatever. The talent is there. They didn't just fall off a cliff. But right now, they are, all season long for that matter, they have not played like the Chiefs that we've seen these last 2 seasons.
And I'll say this, the last 6 weeks, their running game has been non-existent. Even with Pacheco back right now, the running game is pathetic. And the passing game right now is no better. This is a defensive-laden team, and the defense this year will have to win a Super Bowl again because you cannot rely on this offense as currently constructed.
Why do you think that? They have so many offensive weapons on that offense that they can't put the ball in the end zone the same way with the Steelers. But your guys' offense is way better. You got Pacheco, you got Hunt, you got Kelsey, you got Hopkins, you got Brown, you got Worthy, you got Juju Smith-Schuster. There's 6 guys on your offense that can score a touchdown at any time. What's going on with the offense in Kansas City? Why do you think it's not clicking the way it should be?
Because I don't think if you look at their receivers, they're good. They're not fantastic. And Kelsey's had a down year. Teams are double teaming Kelsey. By his own admission, he's having a down year. Worthy's not going to scare you. Rashee Rice wasn't going to scare you. It's almost like we're not going to let Kansas City beat us running the football. And let's face it, guys, Patrick Mahomes does not look like Patrick Mahomes this year. I'm calling it as I see it. So if you cannot, I say this all the time, Dave, I know it's a passing league, but you get into late December and into January in the playoffs, if you cannot run the ball consistently, you are not going to go anywhere. And I firmly believe that. You look at last year, Buffalo gave Kansas City a gift. Buffalo had them at home, still couldn't win. Baltimore had a brain cramp. Well, let's let Lamar try to beat the Chiefs. We've got home field. Let's try to beat them passing the football. No. You look back at the stat lines for those games, Kansas City was on top running the football. And again, if you can't sustain drives running the football, Dave, you're not going to go anywhere. And that's why I just don't think the Chiefs, with the lack of the running game that they've had, they're not going to go back to the Super Bowl. They're just not.
And that's where I think that this comes into play with Pittsburgh too, because we absolutely can't run the football. I mean, I don't know what happened with Najee, but he got less and less snaps yesterday in that game. I don't know what's going on with him. He's in the doghouse after that fumble or whatnot, but Warren looked pretty decent for about 5 or 6 plays. And then
I think it was one of those play the hot hand things. Warren came out hitting the hole quick, and so they just kind of rode that wave. Najee had a couple of decent runs. It looked like the running game was showing signs, and then a couple, we had the Russ fumble, and then the subsequent 96-yard drive kind of threw a wrench into all the plans. I liked what I saw from Jalen, and I think it would have opened things up had we been able to keep that game close, or maybe even taken a lead on the Russ fumble. But yeah, I agree. Like, we've had games and drives where the run game looked awesome, but then we'll come out and do the old run, pass, punt thing. It's inconsistent. The talent is there, and I think next year, regardless of who the running backs are, I personally hope Najee is there with Jalen. I don't think he will be. But I think next year, when the offensive line is complete and healthy as it was originally designed with Troy and everything, I think we're going to be a much better running team.
Dave, what concerns me about the Steelers is which Russ is going to show up week in and week out. That's always been my concern with Russell Wilson this year. I know they went away from Fields, went to Russ. Russ at times can look great, and there's other times where, just like yesterday, scrambling. You're going in for a touchdown, you fumble the football, and that's been the knock on him the last 3 or 4 years.
He hasn't turned the ball over much. Yesterday was more the exception of the rule, but I agree. Let's see, he's got flashes. There are passes and plays where he looks amazing, and then there's plays where he's got a guy open, but he overthrows him by 6 yards.
Yeah,
it's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't sustain or put together consecutive offensive games or whatnot, or Arthur Smith's not calling good games. I don't honestly know what it is. I can't tell you that off the top of my head. But for us to be advanced in the playoffs, you have to win all three aspects of the game. We haven't done anything special team wise the last couple games. Defense hasn't done really anything. The offense last week didn't do nothing. They had a decent game this week. I don't know. You have to win all three aspects of the game, and you have to have some, like you would say, D's, some bounces or some balls fall your way. We did not do that this week, and I just don't know. And like I said, I don't think, and you got upset with me, D's, and was like, "You're crazy." I don't think we win another game this season. I really don't. I don't. I have no confidence in this team for the last two games, and I have no confidence us in the playoffs because I know how Mike Tomlin prepares us for the playoffs and quarterbacks we're supposed to beat. He just can't get us over the hump in the first round. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, Dave, you and I talked in the summer, and you said fans are getting tired of just making the playoffs with Tomlin. Does he have to make a deep run this year to keep his job?
I think no. I think no matter. I personally think that he should be reevaluated at the end of the season if they don't make a deep run in the playoffs, because for two reasons. You single-handedly picked this quarterback room. This is all your call with Russ and Justin Fields getting rid of Pickett, getting rid of Trubisky, getting rid of Mason Rudolph. So these two quarterbacks are on you. You single-handedly picked the offensive coordinator. So yes, his job should be evaluated. Me personally, if they don't make if they make the play, well, we know they're making the playoffs. If they lose them again at the first round, I'm firing them. But Steelers will not do that because
I was just going to say, you are literally preaching to the masses. I'm sure there are, and I'm one of them. I've been kind of leaning towards I'm over Tomlin for a while now, but the bottom line is you, me, or nobody that agrees with us has a last name of Rooney, at least not one that's in the bloodline. And there's no shot that regardless of what happens in the first round, there's zero chance that Mike Tomlin is not back next year. Zero.
I mean, I don't get it why they're so sold on Mike Tomlin, and that when this franchise became standard with the standard of Mike Tomlin winning just in the regular season and not taking this team to the next level and going to a championship. I mean, the last time you've been to a Super Bowl was what, 2008. That's over
2010, lost to the Green Bay Packers.
Or 2010. Okay, 2010, that's been going on 15 years. You haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And look at the quarterbacks you've lost to. Blake Bortles, Tim Tebow. Who else did you lose to? Oh, Baker Mayfield, who the Browns lit your ass up, and you're still feeling the sting for that during the COVID year. There are other quarterbacks that you've lost to that you
Baker Mayfield's turned into a pretty goddamn good quarterback.
He did, but he wasn't that good of a quarterback when he beat us. He wasn't that good of a quarterback. I mean, and you had your third, what was it? Mike Prefer, your special teams coordinator, laid it to us, took us to the woodshed, spotted you 28 points. We had to come back. I mean, listen, everybody talks about it on Twitter. Steelers fans, people in the media, they're tired of the standard in Pittsburgh. When is it going to stop? They need a new voice. Somebody had brought this up. I think it was me or Chipper. You let Mike Tomlin walk, yes, he'll have another job, but I guarantee he won't get a key job. You put him on a team where he's got to rebuild like a Giants team or a Panthers team or a Jets team, or let's see, who else could lose their job? The Raiders. He's not winning any games over there. He's not having winning seasons for at least 2 to 3 years with them organizations.
No, he's been the benefactor of good GMs. Like, Colbert, no, he didn't hit all the time, but Colbert was pretty good most of the time, especially finding, those late round receivers. And he hasn't missed on too many first rounders, not nearly as many as some other GMs out there. And then Omar Khan, who has also so far done really well, both in free agency and the draft. So Tomlin, I think, needs a good second chair, so to speak, to build that team. But I'm with you, man. Like, I'm tired of it too. I want to see a good long run. But in the reality of our world, it's not going to happen. Mike Tomlin is a Pittsburgh Steelers coach until Mike Tomlin no longer wants to be a Pittsburgh Steelers coach.
And I totally agree with you there. And I think that's exactly where the Steelers are dropping the football at, because they're holding this franchise back, and it feels like they're holding Tomlin hostage. Well, not hostage, hostage to the fans, because it's mixed. It's, I would say, 70-30 want him gone. You need a new voice in that locker room. You do. You can obviously see it. People's like, oh yeah, they give him all this credit. Let him go to a team where he has to construct the roster and he doesn't have a good GM. Like D says, he's been a victim of having the Super Bowl team given to him from Cowher, the Kevin Colbert there, who I thought really wasn't a great GM. Khan has so far in his 2 years doing it, has done a decent job of drafting and getting free agents. He really dropped the ball this year by not getting another number 2 wide receiver after you traded Deontay Johnson.
You know what really fucked us with this whole number 2 receiver? Christian Kirk getting hurt, because he would have been a Steeler had he not broke his collarbone. And I think Christian Kirk would have really added something to this team, whereas Mike Williams so far hasn't.
Yeah, but again, like you said, Dees, is Mike Williams 100% healthy? I don't think so. I mean, he's coming off of a knee injury too as well, but you have to find ways to get him the football. Like, I don't understand why they're not getting him the football. And then when you throw him the football, he's 6'5", 220. You're having him run a slant route and picking up 4 or 5 yards. Why are you not throwing the ball up into the end zone and having him jump up for it? I don't get that.
I tried to warn everybody. He's always hurt, and he disappears. He's like Gabe Davis for the Bills. He's either catching 2 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, or nothing. And that's, for as big as Mike Williams is, that big frame, he's been a bust, period, since he's been in the league.
Now, if we get George back, whether it's this week or next week, and now that Mike Williams has had a few weeks in the offense, it could translate onto the field. If Arthur Smith takes advantage of it, because they haven't really been on the field together at the same time. You know, Pickens been hurt and Williams was still kind of learning his way. So it could be a factor in the playoffs. Will it be? Who knows? He's a 1-year rental. The way I look at it, we got a deal with Preston Smith for a 7th. So I'm just going to pretend that we got Mike Williams for that 7th instead of Preston Smith.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I had high hopes when we got Mike Williams. You know, I was ecstatic about it. And, you know, you and Chipper were like, oh, yeah, it's a 5th-round pick for him. I just don't think that they gave the guy the benefit of the doubt or tried to work him into the offense the way that he should have been worked into the offense. And I blame Arthur Smith for that and Mike Tomlin for the preparing of that, because I don't get it. We've seen what Mike Williams did when he was in the Charger uniform. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, over 100 catches back-to-back. So the guy can play. I just don't get why he's not more involved into this offense. And then when you trot your starting wide receivers out and you come out with Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skoranek over him when you come out on the field in your package, that tells me something, that either you're not into him or he doesn't know something with the offense.
To be fair, yesterday was, I think, the first time since we acquired him that he was the number 3 receiver as far as snaps. He had more snaps than Miller, more than Skoranek. Now, I want to give Calvin Austin his flowers, though, because over the last couple of weeks, Calvin Austin is starting to show signs of why we drafted him. Almost, I won't say he's as good as Deontay was as far as getting open, but I like what I'm seeing lately out of Calvin Austin. And I'm excited about what Calvin Austin could be with a healthy George Pickens on the other side.
Yeah, we haven't seen what Roman Wilson is available.
That too, like that's the big mystery with him. You know, what is this receiver room going to look like next year?
Yeah. So, All right, it's
I
1
don't know why
o'clock.
they don't use Darnell Washington. You didn't see how big that dude is? From Georgia, the tight end from Georgia. Oh my
Yeah.
God. You can't stop him. He's a beast.
We
He's
can't
like Megatron 2.0 to the
we can't
infinity.
use Pat Fryermuth, who's I think a very, very good tight end, let alone Mount Washington. Like, and that's what kills me is that Arthur Smith has been known for utilizing tight ends, and that has not translated this year.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But real quick, Ryan and Dee's Merry Christmas. If I don't see or talk to you, go
You
Steelers.
too.
Hopefully we get this win, but I don't think we get any more wins this year. Ryan, where can they find you at on social media?
At Neff Ski on the Twitter, the Twatter, the X, whatever the hell they call it. Ryan Neff68 at gmail.com. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to my Instagram. Deez is actually going to be joining me on Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully that's a good time for me and not so much for you, but we'll see.
We'll see. Check us out. That'll be End Zone to End Zone coming up on Thursday between 8 and 9 p.m.
All right, there you have it for the guys over here, Steel City Renegades. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll catch you next week.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.